think, speaking of your playing career, Hutson, I'm curious as a Tennessee guy here, do you think you would have liked playing in Heupel's offense as a quarterback? Do you think you would have enjoyed it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
I played in a version of it in high school, actually. I played in, what I would call your air raid system. And I don't call Heupel's. I had Heupel multiple times at UCF, so I'm very familiar with this system. Called several of his games. I would not consider Heupel's system air raid. I would call it a principle of the spread. But air raid, by definition, and really how it was created, is Mike Leach, is Hal Mummy. It's I'm trying to think of some other disciples of that.
Art Briles.
Yeah, Art Briles. Tennessee runs the ball way more. Yep. They're way more effective at running the ball than those air raid offenses. I think Tennessee had 39 rushing touchdowns last year.
Yep.
It's the perception of, hey, we're going to spread you out and we're going to throw it. But Tennessee, and I think that one of the more underrated running games in the country, they run it and they run it effectively. It's just kind of the presentation that throws a lot of people off and makes them think that there's some air raid offense. And they throw it, but boy, they run it a lot more than the other air raid offenses like I played in high school. They'll throw it on 3rd and 1. Like on a pass plays coming out of your mouth. So that's not Tennessee's offense to me under Heupel right now. So back to your original question, I think any quarterback, and I think I think that is the interesting part. If I'm an 18-year-old kid coming out of high school again, if I was recruiting for Tennessee and I'm going against Georgia in a recruiting battle or Alabama, I would go into an 18-year-old kid's house and I would say, you can play in the SEC, you can have a chance to play on the highest stage, and I can almost guarantee you're going to lead the country in passing. Yep. Like, that would be my selling point to an 18-year-old kid. Come to Tennessee and play in the best conference in front of 100,000 and sell him on. I promise you're gonna have a chance to, if all goes well, be in New York and you're gonna possibly lead the country in passing. And as an 18-year-old kid, that would be hard to not get googly-eyed over because, Georgia's can't come in and necessarily say that. And it's just it's a little bit of a scheme difference from those other teams. And so I think any kid would love to play in it. I think it's still kind of TBD. Is that the best offense to kind of prepare you for the next level? I think that's still kind of to be determined. Yeah. But I don't think it's as much of a knock anymore on those offenses with the way that the spread offense has evolved into the NFL and shotgun and
it's really just the hashes, right? Like, it's just the hash marks. It's like because of how spread out they are. That's the tough part. But I'm like, then it gets easier. That's hard. Like, throwing across the hash, like, that's not easy. Like, that's not an easy thing.
Yeah. So, to answer your question, I think I would have had a blast ripping it all over.
You're just thinking about it. I can see the wheels are turning. You would have loved to play. This is going to make Georgia fans are like, Hutson's over here fantasizing about playing an orange and white Heupel's offense and how much fun he would have. You could have been Jake Merklinger, who's coming in from Savannah, the 4-star quarterback who's coming in the 2024 class.
Yeah, we don't need another Georgia Bulldog making headlines talking about Tennessee football this week with what's his name talking about the best stadium in the SEC. So. Yeah. But, throwing it around at times sounds a little more enticing than all the toss sweeps to Gurley and Chubb. And so,
Were you in? Did you play in Neyland? Did you have a game in Neyland?
No, we played Tennessee home my senior year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you never got to do it. That would have been interesting because it's an intimidating place. It's a coliseum. It's a different kind of vibe.
Yeah. I think it's a phenomenal atmosphere. I really do. And I don't think saying that, like, you should be able to say that, and not have your allegiance questioned, I mean, there's a lot of great stadiums in the SEC, and Tennessee is one of them. It's a hard place to play. And, and when I was there from 2010 to 2014, Tennessee wasn't as good as they are now. And so the environment was still good. I don't think it was as great as it was in the early 2000s and late 90s, and certainly not what it was like last year. So we probably caught a little bit of a break, not a huge break because, it was still really tough to play, but just the sheer amount of people that they pack in there, and here in Rocky Top, every time Tennessee gets a first down, and it's
something else now. I'll tell you, like it's going to be bonkers. And when Georgia comes to town this November, it's going to be cold though. I hate that they're playing this game late in the season now because I froze my tail off 2 years ago for that Georgia Tennessee game, and I was dying. Like, we're passing around hot pads or the hot hand stuff, and I'm just like, we're dying. They moving that game to late November was not fair. It's brutal. The weather's always going to be terrible in that game now, apparently.
Yeah. I know all the shakeup in the schedules and things like that. Like that's going to look a lot different over the next year or two.
Final question for you here, Hutson. Hooker to Milton. You've seen this offense now for the last couple of years. You talked about how, like, there's just something where when I, like, calm Tennessee fans' nerves about, like, where the season's going to go, and the transition from Hendon Hooker to Joe Milton and what Hendon Hooker really meant to this team, and they're just completely